Hey, I'm Calvin Heimburg, and this is my 2024 In The Bag. I'll start off with my putting putters. I use two KC Glow AVRs. I've always putted with a beaded putter, or pretty much for as long as I can remember, and these just have the flight I like. They're pretty straight with a little bit of fade at the end, so these are what I use to get the work done on the green. I carry three other putters in the bag. One of my go-tos is the Champion Rhino. I've also bagged the Champion Rhino for about as long as I can remember. I use this for most approaches that I'm throwing backhand that I don't have, a whole lot of obstacles to miss. I love to throw it on a little bit of turn, a little nose up, and just kind of float it into the green. It's very slow, and it just sits very nicely on the putting green. The other putting putter, or not putting putters, but my other approach putters that I use quite a bit are the DX AVR X3. I currently have two of them in the bag. This one is really understable. I can throw it on a lot of hyzer. It'll pop up and then turn over. And this orange one's a little more stable. I can also throw it on a hyzer. It'll pop up and turn, just not quite as much. I can also make it go pretty straight. So I carry three other approach discs. They're all the Toro in varying plastics. I have a Champion Toro, a Color Glow Toro, and an R Pro Toro. They're all kind of overstable, but they all kind of fly a little bit different. If it's super windy, I'm going to use my Color Glow one. This Champion Toro is probably the longest tenured Toro in my bag, and it's straight to slightly overstable. And then I recently, this past off season, found these R Pro Toros, which they feel a little shallower in the hand, and they're definitely a little straighter, but they throw really well, backhand and forehand. So if you're able to get your hands on one of those, you should definitely try to find one and check it out. It's a little bit different than your typical premium plastic Toro. One of my favorite places to visit while I'm on tour throughout the year is the North Shore of Lake Superior. It's probably only like 2 to 3 hours north of the preserve. So I tend to make at least one day trip up there when I'm in Minnesota. It's just very peaceful up there, very quiet. One of my hobbies is rock hounding, so I get to go and look for some agates out on the beaches up there on the North Shore. So I would say the North Shore is probably one of my favorite places to visit off the course while on the road touring. And onto the mid-ranges. I have three mid-ranges in the bag right now. My most understable is this Champion Rock 3. I've had this in the bag a couple seasons. It's gone from being really straight to really understable now. Good for tight wooded lines and things that I need to finish right. This also Champion Rock 3. It's kind of become a workhorse for me. It's my straightest mid-range. I can throw it on hyzer, it'll go straight, maybe turn a little, but all straight mid-range shots, I'm basically using this mid. This is a new disc to my bag for 2024, a Champion Rock X3. I found these in the Innova East warehouse last year at USCGC, and they're just perfectly flat, and they're just a little more predictable than most of the Rock X3s I've thrown in the past. So this is kind of like I don't know, it doesn't quite fly as far as a Rock 3, but it definitely fades a little more, and you can rely on it in the wind a little more than the normal Rock 3. So if you see me busting out a blue mid-range this year, it's probably going to be the Rock X3. And on to the Fairway Drivers. I'm going to start here at my most understable. I'm bagging a Champion Roadrunner this year. It's 168 grams. It's good for rollers and just kind of get out of trouble shots. I've definitely found myself, practicing a little more with this now that I haven't really been throwing forehands for a little bit, and it's definitely has a chance to come in handy when you need to get out of trouble. Next in my fairways, I carry three Champion Eagles, all ranging in stability from pretty understable to very straight. yeah, they all have slightly different stamps on them. You know, you can all tell the difference of all of them. You can kind of see like how long they've been on the bag. They start pretty bright pink and they eventually fade out into this kind of dullish orange peach color. But yeah, these are my go-to fairways. I trust them. I've had them in the bag a really long time, and pretty much anything from dead straight to understable, I'm busting out a Champion Eagle. For my slightly overstable fairway shots, I'm using the Helio Vila from Millennium. It is very similar to the Eagle in a lot of ways, but this run of Vila is more overstable than any Eagles I bag. So if I'm throwing into a wind and just need something that has just a little more bite, I will pull out the Helio Vila. And my final fairway driver that I'm using currently is I have a Champion Thunderbird in the bag. It's a little bit faster than the Eagles and Vila, so I can throw it maybe an extra 40 feet farther. So if I want a similar flight to those, but I need a little more distance, I'm gonna pull out the Champion Thunderbird. Same thing as before. One of my favorite hobbies is rock hounding, but if I'm not rock hounding, I also do enjoy being out on the river and paddling. I have a couple inflatable kayaks that I have in the back of my van, so if I get the opportunity to get out on a river with some friends or even just a lake, it's always a good time to relax and cool off. Currently I have 4 kind of utility discs in the bag. I guess they're not all just utility at this point, but some of them have broken in from being really overstable. I carry 2 Firebirds, both Champion Firebirds, both really flat and both really overstable, but really I've had this run, the F2 stamp, in my bag for a long time, reliable in the wind, and I still use it all the time. But I was given another Firebird. It's probably a little flatter, a little softer, but it is way more overstable. I don't really bust this out very often, but it fades very vertical. So if I really need a disc to get down, I'm gonna pull this out this year. It was given to me by a good friend, Brennan Russell, so thank him for that. My other 2 kind of utility discs are the Quantum Draco. I carry 2 of them. I have one that's been in the bag for about a year and a half, and then one that's fairly new. They fly very similar to the Firebird in a lot of ways, but they kind of push a little farther. They're not quite as overstable, maybe glide a little bit more, so I can get probably an extra 30 or 40 feet on these. So if I need a shot where the Firebird can't quite get there, but I still need the fade or it's super windy, I can still bust out this Draco and get it there. I've had a lot of pretty good memories out on the disc golf course, but I think like the ones that, when I just try to think what picks off the top of my brain, it tends to be, those either aces or throw-ins. So like instantly what comes to mind right now is last year when I was at D-Glow and I threw in twice for eagle in the span of, I think it was 5 holes. So like, I don't know, I just think those moments where like it's not just like executing the shot in your head, but like things even go like a little more than right for you. I think those ones stick out a little more than the rest. So I think throw-ins are definitely the most exciting moments out there. And on to the distance drivers. I carry 2 Swirly Star Destroyers, both from my 2020 Tour Series run. They're kind of my understable to straighter discs. They glide more than any of my other distance drivers. So if I have open field and I just want a lot of distance, I'm gonna pull these guys out. This yellow one, it's kind of borderline, might be a roller disc at this point, but you never know when you need a little super flippy distance driver. So these 2 are big distance drivers when I have, a lot of room to have the disc move left to right and then back. My next few drivers, I got 3 Halo Destroyers. These are kind of like my workhorse destroyers. They vary from straight to really overstable. These black and white ones I've had in the bag for a while. They're from the first run of Halo Destroyers, and they They're very straight with predictable fades, so they're very good on the golf course, and you probably see me reach for them a bunch just because I know I can get them to go straight and then have a nice little fade at the end. My most overstable destroyer, also Halo destroyer, is from the 2020 Tour Series run. If I need my disc to finish left for sure, any wind condition, I'm busting this guy out. My last two drivers, I have the Quantum Quasar and the Halo Boss. They're both pretty similar. You know, they're a little faster than the destroyer. They're probably a little more overstable than the destroyers when they're new. They fade quicker, but since they have that extra speed, they still seem to get, you know, about the same distance. So if it's super windy, you'll see me bust these guys out. I was throwing the Quantum Quasar a bunch last year, and I found this run of Halo Boss at the end of last year. That's the Jeremy Colling Tour Series run, and I've really found it to be a useful tool out in the wind. So if it's super windy and I still want, you know, destroyer distance, I tend to pull these out because they somehow push into headwinds as far as a destroyer does when there is no headwinds. So really enjoying these two discs over the past year, and I look forward to using them the rest of the year. As always, you know, I'm really thankful for all the fans out there that, you know, support me while I'm out on the road. You know, you guys are what really makes it possible for all of us to get out here and tour. I got to thank my sponsors, Innova, Flight Factory, Millennium, and Squatch. They support me quite a bit, and they keep me out here on the road doing this. Without them, you know, I'd probably just be doing some engineering job somewhere. So gotta shout out to them.